Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Concern Podcast, where we unpack political, socio-economic, and cultural stories shaping our world. I am Emmanuel Taban. Now, the big question that I want to ask in this video is South Sudan going to have an elections next year in 2026, December? It's slated. Now, if one would say it's exactly 11 or 12 months away from 2026 December before South Sudan will have that slated day for the elections. But when we look at the surrounding, when we look at the environment, when we look at all the happenings, does it signal that the country is going to have an elections in 2026? Of course, so many people would say, an election is an easy thing. We can easily have it. We can organize it within a year, and we can for sure have it in 2026, December. But other people will argue that, election is not an event. It is a composition of so many other prerequisites that needs to be done. It is from there that we will have an election after all these were accomplished. And even the 2018 peace agreement stated what needs to be done before having an elections. And when we look at the peace agreement and look on the ground on what things have been done, as one stated in the peace agreement, then you would realize that we are very far indeed from having an elections held in 2026 in December. Now, in this video, I want to tell us why South Sudan should not have an elections in 2026. I know it might sound strange to you, it might look, so bad, but these are the reasons why I feel there shouldn't be an election next year in 2026. But before we continue with this video, if this is your first time watching a video on our channel, please subscribe, hit on the subscription button, like, share, comment. And as I said, if the video is interest, of course, extend it and share with your colleagues, your circle. It's a way of making the channel grow. And when it grows, it motivates us to make more videos back to back. Now, back to the purpose of this video. As I said, on this video, I'm going to tell you why South Sudan shouldn't have an election next year. Now, over the years, we have seen a deliberate extension of the transitional government, simply because there are claims that the country is not yet prepared for an election. The country has not met all the prerequisites to have an election. But yes, I understand that elections are important in a country, and for majority of South Sudanese who are perhaps in their 40s or 30s, the only time I think they participated in voting was during the 2010 election and the referendum in 2011. But for those who were below 18 in 2011 and 2010, majority of them are yet to see a ballot paper. Majority of them are yet to familiarize themselves with the voting process. They have never voted in their lives, and that disturbs people so much. Now, the reasons why I'm saying there shouldn't be an election in 2026 is because of this. One, we understand that one of the most important prerequisites for an election is population census. How important is population census to an election? The reason why countries goes for population census before having an election is such that the country get to know the number of people in that country, and specifically the number of people that are in the voting age category. And how is that important? It informs the voters register. It actually gives a clear definition of an ultimate results of an election, because we will compare from the data given during population census and the one during an elections, and we will come out with the results and say, this is the number of South Sudanese who are eligible to vote in each constituency, and this is the number of people who have voted in elections, so we can compare and see that actually this number corresponds, so that it becomes hard to manipulate. Otherwise, if there is no population census, number of people are not in the country, we might end up having an election results that tells us that many people have voted, which is not even documented. The number of people who are not even, in the age voting category. So that is the importance of population census. It informs the voters register and informs the results of an election. So that's one thing, and that is not yet done. And if South Sudan is going to do it in less than a year, then that's going to be a miracle. Do we have all the resources to carry out the population census? That is one big issue. Number two, the reason why I feel there shouldn't be an election is because South Sudanese are scattered across the world right now. Majority of them are still in the refugee camps in Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia, and across the world, wandering on the streets of the world. Now, the reason why South Sudanese should not have an election is that we need to have these people repatriated to South Sudan so they can also have their constitutional right. They form a majority, a big number of people who should be on the voting register, and therefore, I think these people need to be repatriated back home first so that they can also participate in electing who they want to be their leaders. This is the second reason why I feel there shouldn't be an election until this is done. The repatriation is either voluntary or deliberate by the government to bring back these South Sudanese from the refugee camps, and they come back to their country, settle, and they register to vote. That is it. The third reason why I say, or the third reason why I'm saying there shouldn't be an election in 2026 is simply because we don't have a permanent constitution. How are we going to run a country after an elections when we don't have a constitution? Right now, South Sudan is trapped between two documents. The revitalized, the document about the revitalized peace agreement, and then the transitional constitution of South Sudan. And this document, at some point, they contradict themselves. It becomes very hard. Which ones do we follow? And therefore, for a country without a permanent constitution, it becomes so hard. We will see that the country will even get into a dictatorship after an election, and when we don't have a constitution and leaders hold accountable based on what is written in the constitution. So it is important for a country to have a permanent constitution before having a well-established government, so that we can hold our governments accountable based on the rules that we have established. And to make a permanent constitution, what needs to be done? There's need for the country to be traversed. Widely. The country needs to be consulted. People need to go down deep on the ground and ask people what they need to see on their constitution. What are the laws that they want their country to embrace? And this can only be done if the country is traversed widely, people are consulted, and it informs our constitution. But that is not yet done. And if South Sudan is going to do it in less than a year, then that is still going to be a miracle. That is the second reason why there shouldn't be an election. Third reason why there shouldn't be an election, fourth reason rather, why there shouldn't be an election in South Sudan in 2026 is because the environment is not politically clear. There's no opposition politics right now back home. Every single opposition leader, every single opposition political party is seen as a rebel group. That is the irony. Every person who opposes the government, who is not in line with what the government says, is seen as a rebel. And I feel for us to have an elections, we need to create an atmosphere where people get to equally participate, and just the government has to see those people opposing the ideas as not enemies, but people who equally have the interest of leading their country, but just based on different ideas. And that's what needs to be done. We need to create that atmosphere that actually that accepts everyone regardless of their political affiliations and the difference in ideologies and how they want their country to be run. Until that is achieved, we will never have a credible, fair elections, because so many people are not going to be treated fairly. So these are the reasons why I feel there shouldn't be an election. We need to get this done first before dreaming to have an elections in 2026. And if we are to have an election in 2026, believe me or not, the country will still go down afterwards, because any results that will come, the person who loses will never agree to it, and they will still be tempted to. They will still be tempted to go back to the bush. I mean, that is what is likely to happen. So we need to get a permanent constitution done. We need to have a repatriation of those refugees across the African continent and around the world. We need to have an atmosphere that allow equal participation of politicians and political parties. But most importantly, we need to have a population census conducted. These are the reasons why I feel we shouldn't have an elections in 2026 without having this first. Thank you so much. And if this is your first time again watching a video on this channel, please share with your colleagues, like, comment, and put it down on the comment section. What do you think about this video? And if at all you feel it is safe for us to have an elections in 2026 or no, and give us your reason. Thank you. Until next time, I remain Emmanuel Taban, and this is the Concern Podcast.